It's a beautiful day outside. It almost is really tough to be here, isn't it? Today I want to talk about two things. One is the subject that as spiritualists we really rarely touch upon, and that is that spirit needs our assistance many times also. And the other is, what does our journey look like when we continue on without our physical body? I think many of us have this question, just what does our journey look like when we make our transition? What happens? Where do we go? Good? Bad? Certainly as spiritualists we have our own viewpoint of that. Let's go ahead and review our basics. We recognize that we all vibrate at specific levels. We also all have our very own unique vibration. We also recognize that emotion itself is vibration. We've been taught about spirits unending, undying, sometimes unclassifiable love. We believe in continual reformation of spirit. That is our 8th principle, that as we move forward, we learn, we evolve. It changes our vibratory level. We believe that our consciousness survives. And as such, when you step from your physical body, that same thought process that's moving in your mind now will be there with you. That same personality, all of those traits will continue with you. At first. We believe that natural law is the same here as it is in the spirit world. Why? Why do we believe that? We believe that we're spirit here. So the only difference is the letting go of this physical apparatus. We remain in whole, intact, complete. Just as we are now, just vibrating a bit slowly so that we can remain within this physical beingness. So our spirit without a body is still subject to the same rules. Natural law is the same on either side. We believe in infinite intelligence. Many call this God. It is our life force, a life source. It is whom we are in and is in us. This force creates and guides the universe. We believe that we create our own heaven and hell. Now that part is important. We create this with the thoughts we think. Now if this translates into the spirit world, as of course it would because we're spirit now, there is no difference when we step out of our physical body. The thoughts we think will create what's around us. Those are the basic belief systems of the spiritualist religion. These same laws applying across the board. So where do we go? What does it look like when we finally let go of the physical apparatus? When we're tired, we're done, and we're ready to cross. Well, spirit has shown us themselves in many different ways. Let's look at the facts. Some spirit comes in as pure thought, no form, only love, absolute. Absolute. Some spirit steps in still wanting to drink and smoke. Some spirit comes through when they're confused and angry, resentful, or afraid. Some spirit steps in and they do not appear to ever have walked in the physical, but instead look like fairies, young children, our imaginations. But this does not make them any less real. So why does Spirit step in differently, and what does it mean to us? To find the answer, we have to go back to our very basic being, our vibration, and that of our wonderful teachers that come to us. A quick note. Whichever way Spirit steps in, it is always a blessing and always a teaching tool for us. Always remember that. I'd like to take a moment to let others share with the congregation a time in their lives when Spirit stepped in that was truly memorable, such as when they touched your hand, moved your hair, or were standing fully in front of you. And I'll begin the process. One evening when I was very confused, very depressed. We all have those moments in life, don't we? As I was falling asleep, I felt somebody sit down on the bed. The bed moved. The bed actually creaked and indented. I looked out, and there was, you know, you get that feeling where you just want to freeze your body. Oh, I'm not going to look. Yeah. There was no one there. No one there that the five senses could see. And yet I could sense that it was my father. My father passed when he was 32, and he was just stepping in to say hi. So now I'd like to open it up to the congregation to share some of their absolutely wonderful, phenomenal, scary if they have one. It doesn't matter. How did Spirit step into your life? How did they move you, touch you, so that you know unequivocally that that love exists? Elaine.
It's been done more than once, and it was by the same gentleman. It was a little bit after midnight, and I was on the phone with my girlfriend, and the garage door opened, and then it closed. And I had to go find out what it was. And of course, that gentleman's motorcycle was in the garage at the time, and I had locked it. It was an old garage door. You had a locking because somebody wanted to come into it. I knew right away, because the vibration, the feeling of that certain person came through. And then I got another distinct idea that you didn't lock the garage door. And then it was many months later again. Motorcycle was gone. Phil Redden had bought the motorcycle already. And it happened during the daytime. It just happened to open and close. We may have thought it could have been someone with a remote control further away that was electronically. No, because I just said, he just says, just to let me know that he was around. He was opening and closing. Because he had just passed, just a couple of months prior to this. So he's just getting to know what's going on over on the other side. But it would scare the willies out of me when they just hear the garage door opening and closing. It doesn't happen anymore because we keep in touch some other way now.
Okay. Is there someone else who would like to share something that occurred in their life that... Thank you.
I have my brother. He's not, I mean, he's close to the spiritual, but he just like stays away from it and doesn't want to do anything with it. Last Easter, he came in, we were going to have dinner or breakfast at my son's house. And he came in, oh, God has risen, God has risen. So we were sitting there, and there's raps on the door. I mean, they knocked. I heard them, but I figured since I always hear things, I keep my mouth shut. I didn't say nothing. The next thing you know is my sister-in-law says, there's somebody at the door. I heard somebody knocking. So my daughter-in-law says, Mom, you need to go open that door, but there's somebody there. So I go out, open the door, there's nobody there. So, as I close the door, now there's no wind anywhere, there's no way. I close the door. As soon as I like the door, all the blinds started shaking. my brother's sitting there, he's like, I said, oh, I guess the Lord has risen and he's here. My brother didn't say nothing after that. He says, I'll never say that again. But you can actually see the blinds just moving. It's like a double door. I mean, all those blinds moved all the way down. And we knew it was the spirit that was there, but you know, I mean, I didn't have any information who it was, but he was there. And he's the kind that doesn't want to believe anything. So after that, he was like, no more say so.
Thank you very much. And do we have someone else who would like to share?
Oh, I've had a couple of different ones. I've had my mother actually come in at night and sit on the side of my bed and stroke my hair like she did when I was a little girl. And I clearly know it was my mother, and that's happened several times throughout my life. And the other thing that's happened is at work. I'll be working. I'm the only person in the room working in the room, and somebody comes by and tugs my hair. I mean, enough to where it pulls my head back. I turn around to see who's there, and there's nobody there. And there's nobody outside the door, so obviously it was spirit that was pulling on my hair, and just wanting to let me know that they're there and wanting to lighten the mood there a little bit. So it's phenomenal how spirit always tries to step in and uplift your vibration when you're feeling a bit tense sometimes.
I would like to have just one more person chime in. You would like to know? Thank you.
Right after my husband passed, all of a sudden, every night when I would go to bed and turn out the lights, someone would start moving things around the kitchen, and you could hear the footsteps, you could hear the cabinet or something, door slightly. And the first night I got up with a gun, I was petrified. I went out and the burglar alarm was on, and I thought, I walked through the house, there's nobody here, it's just me. A couple nights later, same thing happened, and they would go from the kitchen around the corner to the master bedroom, and they'd stop at the door. You could hear the footsteps. And finally I thought, it's Bobby trying to communicate with me. And of course, the kitchen was one of his favorite places to be. Finally, I think I talked to you about it. I said, it's nice to have visitors, but I don't like to be awakened just as I'm going to sleep, and then you're alone in the house, and then you're not alone. Who's here? And so I finally, on your advice, I talked to him one night. I said, it's really nice you're coming to visit, but you're also scaring me to death, making this noise that when I go to bed. I said, you want to give me a message, give it to me in my dreams, or, come and visit during the day when I'm up. And it stopped abruptly. It stopped abruptly, and that was it. Now, he's joked around a couple of times. There's been incidents since then, but I guess he just has to let me know he's still hanging out and watching what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. And that brings us to one of the major points that we teach here at Spiritualism. If Spirit's joining you and it's annoying you, guess what, folks? You get to say, please stop. And the moment you say that, well, they get to stop. And they will. But remember that if you say, please stop, they are not going to come back until you're open for them. So if you want to remain, if you want to keep that door open, make sure you preface your sentence in a way that lets them know you love them very much. Because they do hear you. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. And that moves us in to a whole nother area. Pain disappears when there's no physical body and a healing occurs. Spirit teaches us that if we're an angry person here, we're going to be angry there. If we're a loving person here, we're going to be loving there. So that teaches us that if we're struggling with life here, we want to remain in as clear a position as we can, because we really never know, do we, when our time is up. We do not want to go over to the physical, we do not want to go over to the spiritual side of life without a physical body and still be angry. Clear up anything that you have hanging out there today. Make amends with your loved ones, because you don't want to have to try and get through them through a medium from the other side. We're not real good secretaries. Sometimes we miss the boat. We try. We try, though. Spirit has taught us that we need to give of ourselves on this plane so that we learn the lesson of love of our fellow man. We have been taught by every spiritual teacher that has walked the face of the earth, whether it's Jesus, Krishna, Buddha. It doesn't matter. All the way across the board, they have taught us that the only way to become enlightened is to give to others and to guard our thoughts. All of them teach us the same thing. This is law. It is law. And it is part of both the physical and spiritual worlds. As a medium, I can share with you the various levels that Spirit is in, the various levels that they have shown me. But I do want to preface that with, I'm still learning. I don't know it all. So with that being said, there is a level of acceptance of death and light. There are those who cross over into Spirit who have no clue that they're there. Those spirits are those who pass instantly. And they're sort of stuck in what I like to call a travel station. And when, as a medium, you step into that plane, it's sort of gray. It's sort of black and white. There's not a lot of color in this place. Those spirits that are here, that haven't stepped into the light, and it's a choice. I wasn't aware of that. It's a choice whether you step into the light, just like everything we do on this earth plane is a choice. Those spirits who have not stepped into the light, that are sort of hanging out here in this way station, may have feel guilt for something they have done, fear of God, anger towards God, or simply died before anyone in their family, so they know nobody in spirit and they're afraid. So anger and guilt and fear make many stop and wonder, I don't know if I want to go in the light, I don't know what's in there. This is that other section that as spiritualists we very, very rarely speak about. We usually touch base with that wonderful, loving feeling of our loved ones and our guides and our teachers. This is a place that we can actually help, and Spirit would like us to help. And that's why I bring it up today. There are many levels for our progression, and that the one thing I would like to say to you is when you make your transition, step into the light. Don't stop, just step into the light. All souls deserve to step into the light. There are classes in the spiritual community here on earth that addresses the level we decided to call the travel station. It does sound odd that Spirit would ask for our assistance, and yet they have. How many times have you heard from the platform that someone wishes to make amends? You're bringing in parents who are feeling some type of guilt for the way they treated their children. They've learned their lesson that wasn't quite the right thing to do. And they're stepping in. I can't tell you how many times I've brought parents in and said, wow, she's really sorry for being who she was, or he's really sorry he didn't hug you more. And they're asking for forgiveness so they can move on. And we can give that forgiveness or we cannot. It's our choice. But it does make a difference. it does make a difference. We are spirit here, and we help each other. So of course it would translate that as spirit, we can help those in spirit. Thoughts are things, and they reach across the ethers. So how do we do this? We send them love. We send them light. Before we go to bed, we say a prayer. That all of those that are stuck in this station area, find that love, find that light, be lifted. Help them not be afraid. You have to, when you're thinking of this place in your mind, come there with no judgment. Because if there's judgment, you have no business reaching out to help others. Those people who are standing in this station are lonely, afraid, and angry. These spirits are still so close to our world, they actually interact with us more easily than others. Many times these are the ones who are moving stuff, table tipping. So let us this morning take a moment to send love to those still deciding whether or not to trust Spirit's outstretched hand. Let us help them to know that as there is love and absolutely no judgment in our hearts, that there is no judgment in the hearts of Spirit on the other side of the light. Let us help them choose between the light and the fear that they have gotten so close to. We have worked with them here in the church. And as when we come and we work with children who are sitting there and saying, look, it was my fault, I can't cross into the light. Nope, that's a scary place over there. Nothing uplifts you more than to take that child's hand and walk them towards the light in your mind so that they too can move forward. They too can move forward. Thoughts are powerful, and as we feel and hear them, so will they. Each night before you go to bed, take some time. Send that love and that light. As we do for others, someone else will do for us. That is the law. It is important that we understand that our thoughts will determine where we are in the moment of transition. Our actions of love and true giving here on the earth plane will determine whether or not we too will be stuck at the travel station. I ask that we all send love and light with much love from Spirit.